Hello there, people of the internet. I'm out here with a big pile of guns, but we're only going to be focusing on one today. I have a Ruger Mini 14. This is a pre-580 series, so it has not been updated with all of the improvements. Is that the word I'm looking for? All of the improvements that Ruger did to try and increase the accuracy of these rifles. So apparently this rifle has some accuracy issues. I haven't really seen much of that, but apparently these rifles have some accuracy issues. And I made a short on what are specifically this issue with the Ruger Mini 14 having accuracy issues. And I got a comment on that. And this comment says, I'm just going to literally read this comment out. You need to do your homework. The first ones had a twist rate for 55 grain bullets. Because that's all there was at the time. They will not shoot 62 grain bullets at all, something that you don't talk about. Well, I didn't know that Ruger Mini 14 will not shoot a 62 grain bullet. We're actually going to test that today. They made the twist rate faster to handle the newer bullet weights. Stick with the 55 grain and it'll be fine. So, I also commented on this, and this is the comments that he replied with that I'm actually interested on. 62 grain bullets will start to tumble as soon as they leave the barrel. We're talking about the pre-580 series, which is what this right here is. I had no idea that 62 grains would immediately tumble upon leaving the barrel. We're going to go ahead and test that theory today. I had one in 1980. This is a 1982 production, so at least I think it's a 1982 production, sometime around that time period. I had one in 1980, never had an issue with 55 grain bullets. I sold it before 62 grain bullets came out, and he talks about the history behind his particular rifle. But what I am interested in is him saying that 62 grain projectiles tumble as soon as they leave the barrel of the older version of the Ruger Mini 14. So I have some 62 grain projectiles here, and I am curious to see how accurate that statement actually is. These barrels, I think that they're either a 1 in 7 twist or a 1 in 8 twist. I do not believe that they are the original 1 in 12 twist that the M16 had. I could be wrong on that. I'm sure somebody's going to go down in the comments below. But I am pretty sure that these right here are a 1 in 7 twist. They might be 1 in 8, but I'm pretty sure they're 1 in 7. And that should be able to stabilize 62 grain projectiles pretty easily. You shouldn't have issues with 62 grain projectiles tumbling as soon as they come out of the barrel. But what do I know? I'm just a dude with a Mini 14 on a gun range. Let's go ahead and test this theory out. I have 3 rounds. I'm gonna go ahead and do 2 3-round groups. Maybe we'll get some different results with that. Oh, I thought I brought out some tape to be able to tape up my target. Let me go grab some tape before I load this up, so I can tape up my target and be absolutely sure that I'm hitting where I think I'm hitting. Alright, so I've got this little resting area right here that I'll be using for this little experiment. These are the 62 grain projectiles. I'm just going to go ahead and send some of these down range. I have a paper plate down there. I think I covered all the holes with tape so we can see exactly where these rounds are going to be hitting. I do not know where these are going to hit because I have this zeroed for 55 grain. But we're only at about 40 yards. That should be enough to see if we have any tumbling. And I don't think it'll throw the zero off too terribly much. Let me send some rounds here. There's 1. There's 2. And there's 3. Alright, well it did in fact go bang with those 62 grains. And it did in fact cycle every time. Let's go ahead and walk down there, see if we see any issues with tumbling. Okay, survey says here's our 3-round group at 40 yards. That's probably an 1.25 inches right there. So 1, 2, 3, I don't see any issues with tumbling whatsoever there. Let me go ahead and grab our tape those back up, and we'll go ahead and send another 3-shot group, see if maybe this right here was just a fluke, but that's 62 grain projectiles at 40 yards, and there's no tumbling issues there. In fact, that's actually a pretty decent little group. That right there is probably about 2.5 MOA if we were to go out to 100 yards or so. Maybe 3 MOA. Alright, so this is a second verse, same as the first. I'm going to go ahead and send another batch of 3 rounds This is the same stuff, 62 grain projectiles. Let's see if we have any issues with tumbling down there. Go ahead and throw on my earmuffs here. All right. Fantastic. Hey, where are you going? You're gonna stay right there, young lad. Same setup, same story, same everything. I'm gonna send another 3 rounds. There's 1 round. There's 2 rounds. And there's 3. Again, cycled reliably. Didn't have any issues with that. It fired all the rounds. Let's go ahead, walk out there, and have a look at that. All right, this right here, the wind was blowing me around with the table and whatnot. So we got 1, 2, 3. This one I kind of felt that I pulled it, but we're looking for tumbling, and I don't see any issues with tumbling. There's no signs of keyholing or anything like that. So yeah, I think that this Ruger Mini 14 can handle 62 grain projectiles just fine, because if they're tumbling as soon as they come out of the barrel, then we're definitely not seeing that here. I have some 55 grain projectiles. I'm going to go ahead and send those down here. Maybe this particular Mini 14 is designed for 62 grains, in which case it wouldn't handle 55 grain according to this guy. Let's go ahead and head back over here and send some 55 grain projectiles through this thing and see if we see any difference. All right, so these are 55 grains. Not the 62 grains that we were just shooting. Let's see if these happen to have any tumbling issues right when they leave the barrel of the rifle. So I'm gonna go ahead, same shooting stand, same target. I taped up our holes, so now our target down there isn't so holy, and we'll be able to see where it is that we hit. The wind is blowing me around pretty good here, so my accuracy is diminished, but that's all right, because we are looking for tumbling, not necessarily accuracy. There's 1 round. There's 2 rounds. That one was a little on the left. And there's 3. So we cycled all of those rounds, 55 grain, no problem. Did in fact fire those. Let's see if we have any issues with tumbling down there. All right, survey says, looks like one of them, yeah, that was a little far left. So we got 2 right here. This one right here was the one that I pulled a little left. I mean, whenever the wind is blowing, the table's wobbling around. So we got 1, 2, 3. None of those look like they keyholed at all. That's a very interesting result. About what I was expecting, but not what I was told. Let me go ahead. I have another set of 55 grain ammunition. Go ahead and throw those through there as well. All right, so next round, same as the others. 55 grain projectiles through a Mini 14 at about 40 yards. Let's see if any of these rounds tumble. To be fair, he did tell me that 55 grain projectiles did not have issues with tumbling. However, he told me 62 tumbled as soon as they left the barrel, and we did not see that. Let me go ahead and send another set of 55 down there, and just gonna see what happens, I guess. I think it's a pretty safe bet to say that we're not gonna see any tumbling, but what do I know? I'm just a guy on YouTube. There's 1 round, pulling my own hair. There's 2 rounds. There's 3. All right, let's walk down there, see if we have any issues with tumbling with this ammunition here. All right, survey says that's actually a pretty good group there. The wind stopped throwing me around the way that it normally does. That's probably about 2 inches or so. No signs of tumbling with this 55 grain ammunition, as there was no signs of tumbling with the 62 grain ammunition either. So I think that this little tidbit of information that I received on the internet was in fact incorrect. Perhaps this man's particular Mini 14 had issues with 62 grain projectiles, but mine did not, and no amount of homework to be done would have told me otherwise. So as we see with the results from my Mini 14, which is a Prefix 180 series, so I'm not sure what time period whereabouts that was, but as we see with my Mini 14, it has no problem with not tumbling 62 grain projectiles as soon as it leaves the barrel. If you have an experience with a Mini 14 that has issues with tumbling, particular projectile immediately as soon as it leaves the barrel, then let me know down in the comments below. I'm sure a lot of you will have plenty of stories. I did not see any issues with my Mini 14, and to my knowledge, Mini 14s have had 0 issues with 62 grain projectiles. I'm pretty sure they're a 1 in 7 twist, so you'll be able to stabilize some pretty hefty bullets with that, all the way up to 70 grain. Once you start going to lighter grains at like 40 grain and whatnot, you might start seeing some tumbling issues out at longer distances. But I think that the idea of 55 grain being okay and 62 grain tumbling immediately upon firing, I think that right there is just completely untrue with what I have seen. That being said, there are always exceptions to the rules, so hey, if you have a different story, different experience than I have, then by all means, let me know how wrong I am down in the comments below. Who cares about the evidence that I just showed? People will ignore the evidence and base around their own preferences. That's the word I'm looking for, their own preferences. I'm excited to see what the comments have to say on this one. That being said, thanks for watching, folks. Appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Description below, bunch of links, all sorts of stuff. Go check that out. I hear Kevin screaming in the background. Kevin's my peacock. I got 4 of them. They're all named Kevin. They're hard to distinguish from one another, so they're all named Kevin. Perks if you get that reference. That being said, I'm going to go grab myself some more ammunition and have myself some more fun. You guys go off, have yourself a fantastic day. I'll see y'all on the next episode. Since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. The poor man's Garen. Shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.